Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Character Hour. This is the first video of 2021, so happy new year. I hope you have a better year than 2020, however that's not too hard of an achievement, I guess. Anyway, this week we'll have 2 character hours, simply because between Christmas and New Year's I planned to have a character hour. However, certain complications due to rum and bourbon kind of hindered my plans, so this week we're going to have 2, and this is where we left off. And what we're going to do today is we're going to create gloves for her. The gloves is something that we can create relatively to a finished point, because like if you've watched the first 2 episodes, I've jumped from the bottom to the top to her like panels here and shoulder pads or whatever. However, none of it is still just in blockout, because we kind of build it together, right? We do not build one thing and then to a full and then build another. But the gloves, we can do this. So the first thing we are going to do is we are going to create a new folder. So let's get a folder for her, call it upper. Let's put everything that is that we did on the last episode in it, so we can easily. Okay, this one as well. Let's see. There we go. Okay, so now we can close this, and the eyes are okay. And first off, we are going to extract geometry from the base mesh like we did with the rest. Well, not with the plants because we did those in Marvelous, but with her upper body. And there are a few complications. This is not a base mesh I did. I got it from someone, and I think it's from a program called Daz, because she has nails and all that on her, and we gotta get rid of this. So the way we'll do this is we are just going to, let's see, let's make it, let's go to a lasso, select lasso. Let's get this one. Let's get this one actually. Come on, there you go. Yeah, that's enough for now. And we are going to auto group it, right? And now we can go back to our select rectangle, and actually let's duplicate it. I almost fucked up. So on the duplicate, let's bring this one all the way back. There you go. On the duplicate, we can select only this, and we can delete hidden. All right. Now the glove will have 2 parts. One of it will be kind of leathery, and will cover the top of her hand, and on the inside, I think something like spandex or something like this. You know, like more technical material. So what we can do now is we can right off the bat, we can Dynamesh it and see what we get. Dynamesh, which is not what we want. Now Dynamesh is based on size, the resolution, and since this is a world, this is a real world size, it is a little bit, you need more resolution to make it. So yeah, that's not too bad actually. Okay, so I have this one, and it closed and it created a group. I'm gonna inflate it again by 1. Let's do 2. Let's do 1. I want the glove to be kind of where she is, where her hand is, and then we can build the layer up. Okay, we have this, and now you can start actually fixing it from here, or if you do what I want to do, you can slice. Let's do a slice curve. There you go. Now what we can do is we can get something like this, and we can slice to where we believe will be necessary. We can select it, inverse it, and delete it. Let's turn off Dynamesh, and now we can zero mesh it. Let's try, and we'll work without symmetry, because we can always use symmetry on the to get her other hand to have the same glove. I'm not sure if I want two identical gloves or I want some kind of diversity. We'll see how that goes. And I showed you with this piece, I believe, or something in the last video, how to mirror and weld everything after you've had like subdivisions and stuff. It's with the zip plugin called Sub2 Master, right? Go and watch the second video around the end and you will kind of see what I talk about. So if I zero mesh it right off the bat, let's see what we get. We want 20. We need some adaptive size here because we want to retain those sharp edges. So let's the poly count. Oh, the poly count is 5 is fine. We can freeze. No, let's do it like this. See what we get. Alright, I am actually pretty happy with it. Now, those sleeves here are a little bit shorter than I would like to, but we can work this out later. So for now, we are going to work on the glove like this, probably a little bit less. So let's eliminate a couple of poly loops. So around this way. Yeah, this is fine. Okay, so we'll do the same thing. Auto group it, get this one, delete hidden, and now we have only this. We're gonna fix those, and you can fix it with the move brush. Just hold Alt and very slightly move those. Now this is purely for, oh, it's way too thin. Okay, let's turn off backface. As we talked about the let's go with clay. As talked about in the last video, what backface does is it prevents your mesh from collapsing, from the backface of your mesh from collapsing on the part that you work. It's useful to work when you're working on small spaces. This, okay, that's fine. Okay, so now we have this, and right off the bat I want to separate it. Now how do I do that? If I go to lasso and just get this out of the way, what do I get? Let's, you know what? Let's try using our Z modeler, and with the Alt, let's try to mask where we want our group to be. And this is one way to try it, and we'll see the rest. And if you, while holding Alt, if you start painting over already masked polys, it will remove the mask. So here, I don't want it to be. Yeah, okay, I guess. At first, I didn't want to be right on the middle part, but I guess that's how gloves work, right? So we're gonna do this, and let's first let's zero mesh it with a target count of 6. Okay, that gave us a little bit more geometry. No, it destroyed the things we fixed, but we can always fix them later. But for now, what we need to do is we need to make this better. So this is one way to do it. So what I'll do basically is I will create my I will create my seam with those white polygons, right? For example, sometimes you do not see it when it's behind. So for example, if I do this, then I will polygroup it by going polygroup, single poly or polygroup all, it doesn't matter, and I will polygroup it like this. And then once I hide it, I will have throughout the mesh kind of hidden thing, and when where the thing is hidden, I'll just auto group it like we did with almost everything else when we need to create like panels or stuff like this. Let's try and see how it goes. It's a little bit wonky, but we can always fix it later, right? The cool thing about Zbrush is that nothing you do is final, except for very few actions, but even when you take those actions, there's pretty much a way back for you. Right, so I can, let me see. I don't think I can do this. Oh, I can. That's cool. Oh, we're gonna do it like this. Okay, cool. And I'm kind of lucky right now because I have polyloop that goes relatively on right where I want it to be. Chances are you won't have this polyloop going exactly there, but you can always fix it. You can draw guides and zero image them with the guides to get a polyloop where you want. For us, however, we kind of lucked out. Ooh, that's... What? I will fix it like this. It doesn't even matter right now. We can always... Once again, we can fix it later. Yeah, that's good. And this here is something that nobody will see anyway, so... let's now isolate just this piece. That is fine. And now this is our index finger. There is something I wanted to do. Well, let's actually get it like this. Cool. That's it. So now from here, I want the thumb and all this part to be part of the upper thing, right? Of the upper material. So I'm gonna go to about here. I'm going to start drawing on the polyloop here. Something like this. Even further this. There we go. No, do not remove those. And finally, I'm gonna draw it something like this. Okay, we have done it. So now we can polygroup and select it, and because we haven't changed anything, it will be the same polygroup as here. Now we didn't erase those, so let's get them at least to be the same polygroup. There you go. So now what you can do is you can go to your select rectangle, select rectangle, select this and auto group it. There we go. And now you can get this group and this group, whoops, and this group, and you can auto group them. You can, let's give it a different color, and now we have this thing here. This here is way beyond what we want, so we can probably, yeah, we can fix this by removing this one, something like this. Why not? And the thing you can do is with the polygon function, you can get select here, and you can shift, and you can click and press shift, so you will be actually Interesting. Oh, I guess you can have it masked, but it doesn't matter because it's a temporary polygroup. So if you click on the edge, it will select those two. All right, so now we have this, and now we can actually separate it. And the way we'll separate it is we can separate those and work on them as a separate things, or we can try doing what we had a very big trouble doing here, right? Dyna mesh it, zero mesh it with groups, with the groups. Let's just try, and if it doesn't give us a good result, we are going to do it and split it right off the bat here. So we're gonna go to zero mesher, and we're gonna go to freeze border and keep groups. And let's try not to smooth them. That's pretty much the same poly count, and let's do it. Okay, so I don't understand why sometimes it works, like in the last video it didn't, in this video works fine. Let's smooth the groups just a little bit and do it, see what we get. Okay, this is exactly what I wanted. I wanted a little bit of a smoothing here, right? So now I can actually inflate all of this. So I can go to BIN, which is the inflate brush, and I can just inflate the fingers where I have to. I will probably, yeah, I'll have to go for back face again. And let's hide everything else. So I'm gonna hide the upper and the lower. Alright, and I am just going to inflate this a little bit, just as much as I need it to be, right? No overkill. We're going to inflate later on the seams with when we scope the seams and all this thing, but for now we just want to have a correctly working piece of geometry that works kind of like a shell. Right? And you can switch to the clay brush as well with the back face, of course, and just with a very small brush just fix where you think your mesh has problems. This will have thickness, so I'm not too much worried about it. Because we'll create like panel loop from it before we start scoping. However, we want it to be at least somewhat representative. Oh. Okay. The zero mesh did kind of a shit job here, so I probably, let's try to smooth it. Oh yeah. Okay, let's just get rid of those. We can always add them later. So this and this and this. Oh my god, this and those. Holy. Okay, we are going to delete hidden. Then select those. Control Shift A. Delete hidden again, and now we have the top in a fine shape. Okay, so now once we have this, we can either start doing panel loops like we did for her, for here, right? Or we can separate them and do them differently. So I can get this one and I can split hidden, and now this is its own piece, and I can panel loop it from here. Let's try to do this because I want this upper part to be a little bit up from, well, that sounds ridiculous, but I want it to be a little bit, the layer part to be bulkier, right? It's only normal. So let's go to poly edge loop. Let's try, see what we get. I will go for 1 on the polish. Loops 5 is okay. Okay, 0.00. 2. That's way too much. Also 0. I'm sorry. There you go. Let's go to geometry back and call 0.0005. That's ridiculously low. I get rid of one of the zeros and press 1. Okay. Yeah, that's something we can work with. Without a doubt. Cool. Man, now I wish I had those connected here, but this can work as well. Alright, so now, you know what we can do, actually? So, what you can do is you can use your Z-modeler, but not with Z-modeler. You can go for extrude, there you go, and you can extrude all polygons, and you can extrude them inwards, like this, flip it. Wow. Right, let me just check what I just did. Okay, cool. There you go, that should do it. So now, let's try zero mesh, but with the faintest of Q mesh. I'm sorry, Q mesh, but with the faintest of Q meshes, because the idea is that when you do something like this, if you use Q mesh, it will collapse and weld polygons that are very close to each other, while extrude will not. However, I guess we want to try with this, like that. Flip it. There we go. We don't have any kind of errors. So now, once we are in it, we can group binomials. By the way, group binomials is somewhere here in the polygroups menu. There you go, group binomials. If you want to get this UI, just go to my Gumroad. It should be in this corner, and you can get it for free, or make your own, but just make it so it's easier for you. Okay, now we are going to go to a select lasso. I'm going to select this edge loop, right? And actually we don't have to do even this. We can just go to QMesh polygroup island. Let's do to be sure, and we can QMesh it one polygon with relatively the same width, like this. Okay, so now we can group binomials again, and we can get this group. We can delete it. Awesome. And now I will have the effect I wanted when I poly loop it. As you can see, we have, come on, the gloves have a little bit, this edge is a little bit out of the smaller, which is awesome, I think. Okay, so now this is done, and we are still just creating the base shapes, obviously. And now this one, we wanted to make it just like this, the same poly loop settings. However, so this is 1, this is 0.001, right? Let me check. Yeah, and the only thing is we're going to go for elevation of 50. So that means that it will not push up. Let me show you. Let's quick save, because this is the place where Zbrush crash. I'm pretty sure. There you go. So now it created a panel loop just like on the other. However, it took the plane that we had from which we created it. It took it and it made it the center, not the bottom part of it, right? So now we still have a very good poly loop, but we are a panel loop. I'm sorry, but we are also in the beginning in this thing. All right, so now I think it won't be a bad idea if I go and disable polish for this one. Let's try it. Yeah, this is how we are going to do it. because we had a problem here. So now we are going to this one, why not? Group it. You know what? Let's hide those. All right, and group this one. Okay, so now we can create a little strap, and the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to Q mesh this out, and then I'm going to hold Control, and it will kind of separate it a little bit like this. There we go. And then I'm going to Control Shift this, Control Shift A to get everything. Group by normals again, and I'm going to split hidden, and now I have another piece of geometry here. Which piece of geometry we can now go and Q mesh polygroup in like this, flip it. When you Q meshing inside, always flip it. And now we can just actually, before we do this, let's put it into place. So we can go to our move brush, turn backface mask off, we don't need it anymore, and we just place it where it kind of needs to be. And the cool thing of working with such a low geometry is you can always add an edge loop here, right? And that way you're basically modeling, polymodeling and sculpting at the same time. Something like this. Come on, there you go. Right, we're gonna do the same on the back because we almost don't have this issue at the back, but in this whole thing we have this issue because when we panel looped it, we had a bevel. If we did not have a bevel, we wouldn't have this bevel here, and not having this bevel here would not leave us a little bit on the dock. But it's nice to have this bevel because when you bake it, it will look like it will give its own AO. So let's insert edge loop here. And if you want to see AO right now, what you can do is you can go to render, preview AO, and you can preview the occlusion. And this whole thing here, it will look good when we bake it, right? Because it will create this AO. Alright, so now we have this, and now we can Q mesh it inwards. That's good enough, and we can flip it, and I don't know, we can move those a little bit, I guess. Just a little bit, come on. Let's create this kind of a idea. Or we can just, whoops. Come on, dude. There you go. We can just do what we did with the somewhere around the shoulder pads. I'm sure we did this. You can get mask those, and you can Q mesh them with shift, and we'll create this little piece here, which when smoothed, it will give the idea that it has a little bit of a kind of a inwards thing going. We are not very good with this piece here, so let's move it a little bit, right? And in the middle, I'm just gonna smooth those 2 points. If you go to your brush size all the way to 1, it will basically the move will be moving points and the smooth will be smoothing verts. Alright, that's good. Now, before we start sculpting, because there will be a lot of forward sculpting here, I want this glove to have kind of a little dot here, like, you know, those gloves that are being I don't know what you call it, advertised that you can press your smartphone whatever with them. I want this to be something like it. So let's quick save it. What I'll do, how are we going to do it? You know what? Let's get this one duplicated. Control Shift D. There we go. And let's try to slice it. Why not? I'm going to get just this one. Delete hidden. There we go. Let's try to slice it. Why not? Let's isolate it. There we go. Let's go slice, slice circle. Well, why not? Just gonna bring it to be roughly the same. Here. Not the one I wanted. The shitty thing with the slice is that you gotta angle it very correctly first, because the slice is camera based, which is fine, I suppose. Just these two fingers, I think. And then I want to do a small slice here. This. Ooh, that's not good. This. And this. Now, if you want to be perfect circle, I think it was, if you go to your brush, you can go for circle, stroke. Yeah, you can go for square. If you go for square, you're always doing a perfect circle. Alright, cool. So now let's see if this will work. I'm gonna get those, select lasso, delete hidden, and those are, I'm going to, alright guys, Zbrush did what Zbrush does. Sometimes it crashed. However, I got my record files, so we can continue. We didn't lose too much. Let's do where we were. We were going to create some things here. Okay, so let's duplicate it. Once again, we're going to isolate this piece, delete the hidden. Now, there's an argument that I can do it two ways. I can do it how we are going to do it before the ZBrush crashed, which is slice it and zero mesh it afterwards. Or what I can do is I can give it a lot of resolution. That should be enough, I think. Yep, that should be enough. And now what I can do is I can mask it like this, right? And then extract it, and this is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to go to mask, circle, and I am going for the stroke to a square, right? So now we're going to create groups. So let's just get something like this, but we want it small. That, all right? And I'm going to sharpen it and Control W to group it. Cool. Then I am going to size it up, then do it here and group it. There we go. Actually, let's sharpen it again and group it. Let's give it a different color. There we go. And I'm going to create a smaller one like this and place it here, something like this, and then group it. Yep, let's do this for this one as well. So I'm going to first of all move my thing where I think it should be, get the size ready, and just plop it. And okay, that's good. So now what I can do is I can go back to my mask plan. I can get this invert selection and delete hidden, delete lower and delete hidden. So now I have this very big amount of polygons, right? So I can now start, I can just actually polish by feature with a little bit, there we go, and I can group by normals and then just do it like this. Yeah, it doesn't have any. If I can hide the last one, then it means that when I polished it, it created groups on this side, because even though it seems like they're on the other side, they are the same poly group now. Alright, so once we have this, we can zero mesh it, and this is all trial by fire. We do not need keep groups anymore. We don't want adaptive size, and we are going to start by zero meshing it by half. So 1. Oh, I'm recording, sorry, I thought I wasn't recording. Okay, it's way too much, so let's do half again. Interesting. Interesting. Let's go to 10. Let's go to 1. That should be more than enough for this. What is happening? Interesting. Okay. Well, let's try the legacy. I don't know why it's doing this. Oh, because I have freeze borders on, I guess. Let me get rid of freeze borders. There we go. So now I can go half. Half. And I think this should do it. Alright, this is good enough. And now what I can do is I can actually either pull them out like this. Come on. All polygons. Like this, right? Or I can go for the panel loops, and I like the panel loops because it gives a little bit of a bevel. Otherwise I have to do it like this, right? And then go in and bevel this poly loop like that, then just click it on the R to repeat it, right? Which you can do. However, I would rather just go to panel loops and just do something like this. However, elevation 100, that's way too much. Elevation of 50, and I'll go for the bevel of 0 of not 20. Let's do go 20, and I'm gonna go for 3 loops. 5 is too much. Awesome. Okay, and now I have those, and now we can push them in a little bit. So you can go and just wow, okay, it's very small, that's why it's acting wonky. However, where interesting, it's like it has something else, so let's check it. Will this, there is, interesting. Okay, so anyway, I can get this by control clicking it. It will select the group, right? So if I auto group it, and now I can with the W I control click somewhere, it will mask the poly group by control click. So I can control click it, bring it just a little bit down, and if you control click like wherever you do, it sets your orientations well, right? So if I go in, it will go straight into her finger. Something like this. Something like this. I think that's good. Cool. This will be normals. Obviously, they won't be kind of out, right? It won't be geometry when we bake, but it's just a little nice touch, and we can just dynamically subdivide them, and they look, I would say they look good. Okay, we're done with this. So now this here, what is it? Oh, it has dynamics on. Okay, now I'm gonna hide the body. Actually, we want to get her body, solo it, frame it, and just leave the arm like this. Okay, and then we can hide the eyes and the upper. Cool. This way we can see when we'll start protruding. However, we're still where we want to be. Okay, now we can start applying some color to it. So for this, let's apply the same colors we did on the top. I'm just gonna hover over a color, press C, C, not X. There you go. This will have it. Now I am gonna go here, I guess, and enable, go to my stand brush, enable mRGB, and fill object. There you go. And then when we go white, we have different object. Okay, and this, for this, what you can do is you can come here and you can actually, I want this to be a spandex and have a hexagonal shapes. So I can go here and go to surfaces, noise, and this is just for preview, but it's sometimes useful, right? Let me see how we're going to, if we can actually, oh my god. There you go. Let's go, nice plug. Let's go for nice simplistic, hex tiles. Yep. Ooh, hex tiles. God damn it. Styles, and we're gonna go for noise, basic noise of 0. This. Yeah, there you go. Right, and right now it's stretched because we don't have UVs, but it will look like this, right? I just want to show you this, so I'm going to delete this noise. Alright, so now we can start creating some folds finally. Now this piece, the orange piece, will be a piece that is, let me just adjust a little bit better, there you go. This orange piece will be leathery, and this will be more foldy, so we can start playing with it. Now one thing we can do is we actually don't need the backside, so we can get the backside, invert the selection, and just delete it, right? And that's, you say why, but I always believe that if you have unnecessary polygons, just remove them like this. This is 4,000 polygons. If I subdivide it 5 or 6 times, it will be like shit ton of unnecessary geometry. Alright, so now we have this, and we can start making folds. To make folds, we are using just the standard brush, right? That, and we just start from the bottom, create the big folds, like where we think there will be big folds, like this, very gently, right? And then you go up a level and you refine it. So when you create folds, you go from bottom to top. One thing we can do, let me just Control Z too many times. One thing we can do is we can utilize the thick skin. If we go thick skin, let me see, BCB. Okay, so if we go for thick skin, and the clay builder brush is a brush that has no top, right? No top value. I can just do this until my heart content. So if I go to thick skin, I actually reach an end to it. So if I subdivide it once and I have thick skin, and I'm gonna go for a very small thick skin, like 3, right? Now if I do a clay build up, it's very thin. If I don't have the clay buildup, you see, I can destroy the mesh. So we can apply this, and 3 is even too much. Let's do 2. So let's try this with the standard brush. So it works on the inside as well. Now, when you have something so close, you use it more to do like this than on the inside, because on the inside it will protrude. However, it really becomes interesting when you go to BC and you go with the cloth brush. So if you go to cloth nudge and you don't have thick skin, it creates this ridiculously hard shape, right? Let's oops, Control D, Control D, Control D. You can see how it goes, right? So now, if you have thick skin, as you can see, it kind of folds it until it reaches the thickness. If I go for a thick skin of 20, I'll be able to completely destroy the mesh, right? But because I go with thick skin of 1, or let's say 1.5, I am able to be much more subtle with it, okay? And this will obviously work for bigger shapes. Something small as this can always be created like this, right? Like that, and this. However, you can always find it useful. So one thing that I want to do, I want to get this one, and I want to mask it, invert my review all, and invert my selection. So now even if I go nuts like this, my other polygons are still there. So this helps me if I go and I want to create like a pressure fault here, for example, right? And if I go kind of wild with it, I don't overstep it, right? I will have to go on this side and just repeat it. Woo. I will have to go on, there you go, MRGB off, on this side and repeat it. However, I will not, and for this side we'll have to do the same masking. Okay, so let's give it a quick couple of creases. Let's quick save. That's way too long. Oops, not here. And once again, this is a spandex-like material, so it is much less. It retains less folds because it's kind of elastic. However, it will have some, obviously. And let's use what we showed. Let's go for thick skin of 1. It will not create any difference for now, but it's a safe border that I cannot go very wild, right? So I can go like this, and it's not going to go too wild. It's very useful to create hard surface details as well. This thick skin, but we'll talk about this when we go to that bridge. We'll cross it. Just the beginnings now. Right, it's still very low geometry. It's only 2 levels, but you can always bump it up. You can, oh, you gotta unmask it, bump it up, Control Shift A, mask it again, and continue, right? and it is very good to have folds here, because this is one place where the gloves always kind of fuck up. If you have gloves, really, seriously, if you have gloves, just go and check them. Right? If you have like one of those leather gloves, they are almost surely screwed at this certain location. Oops, as you can see, the thick skin kind of saved us here. So it's one, it gives you a better, and here we'll do just one simple because it makes sense that this piece here prevents it from too much falling. And it's one, it's a safeguard, right? But also it helps a lot with just receiving the desired effect. Okay. And if you want for something like this, it's very useful to go to render, preview AO, and preview the occlusion. And with the occlusion, you see that I've kind of went overboard here. And if you dial it back in, you can see just the occlusion disappears, which is incredible for me. Alright, so now for this top part, how are we on time? Just let me check. Okay, so we are pretty much there. We still have a couple of minutes. What we want to do is we want to create some padding here. And to create this padding, let's go here. First off, we gotta sculpt a little bit on this side as well. So I am going to unmask everything. I'm straight going to go to level 2. And I am going to take this one, obviously those two, we don't need them like this anymore, there we go. And I'm going to mask it, show everything, reverse the mask. And we can, for this, you can remove your color if you want. And you can start dialing it up. So on the top, you will always have some artifacts on the knuckles. It's just impossible to not have those, because that's where the cloth pressure is like 95% of the time. There you go. But some here. But for leather, you're pretty much set, right? Very interesting that we have this. I'll fix it. Just gonna smooth it a little bit. This top piece. It's good. And I still have it masked, so I'm not smoothing the edges. Cool. So now here we can create actually some, let's see how good is our, well, let's go one over. That's way too much. What? Oh, you see, there you go. I haven't deleted this part here, the inner part, so it's eating up my resolution. So we're gonna go for all the way back to 0. Yeah, I want to do it. Alright, let's do it like this. I'm going to delete the lower actually. This is a good amount. We won't be needing a lower amount than this. We can always zero mesh it again. And we are going to get this, turn it up, delete hidden. So now we can freely subdivide it once, and this is already a good amount. You can see we have a nice, if we do it one more, we can work with 1.6 millions with a million polygons, which is more than enough. So now I can use my control with the lazy mouse, and I'm just going to follow lines like this. Why not? Just 2 is fine. I'm going to soften the selection. Let's go actually on lower level. Soften the selection. Let's go on the first level. There we go. I'm gonna turn thick skin. And I'm gonna, if I give it, like I want to show you, we're not going to do this in the final model, but for now, if I do this, if I go to BCB, my clay buildup with the thick skin, that's how easy you create panels, right? Now for this is the mesh is very smooth, the mask of the mesh. But if you, so if I do this like that, oh, I haven't turned it on. You go to thick skin, put it on, turn it to, let's say 3. And you begin to have panels. You can then polish by features. If you group them, it'll be fine. However, what we need is something else. So let's go back. Let's inflate them by 2. Wow. We still have a thick skin, I presume. There you go. The inflate also works. If you have thick skin and you inflate above it, it will just collapse it. We don't need it, so we can inflate by 2. That's way too much. Inflate it by 1. Awesome. And then just I actually do not like those. I can actually do with something else. I can go and turn them into poly loops. So okay, we can do this, and this will end the video, and on the next video we're going to end the glove. So I'm going to do 2 more poly loops here. 1 actually, let's do 1. So we're going to get this. It is fine like it is. We're gonna duplicate it, isolate it, and delete hidden. Okay, a little higher. Now you can create something like this, right? If you are still on the 3 stripes or whatever. And there was something, let me see where it is. I think it was on polygroups or on masking. Polygroups, auto group. Group masks. It does group them, but there was something I can't remember what. Group mask clear. What do you think? I think it was somewhere here. But basically, what you do is it masks them and also creates an edge loop. What you can do is you can group those and then go to your edge loop geometry, edge loop, and you can edge loop them. What is hidden? Oh yeah, sorry. You can hide them and edge loop them, and with the edge loop, oh yeah, the group loop, sorry. So you can play with this. And create your own kind of stuff. However, we are not going to do this. What we're going to do, actually, I like this. Yeah, this will be a patch. I'll have a patch here with like a serial number or something. So we can actually go back to where we were a couple of minutes ago. You can delete this. Okay. So we can get this one. It has polygroups. It has subdivisions, so I'm gonna quick save because Zbrush crashes sometimes when I do this, and I'm going to go for subtool master. I'm gonna mirror it. I'm going to mirror in DX and append this new subtool. Interesting. Wow. What is this? Holy crap. Okay, we're gonna figure it out later. Okay, so I'm just going to do a couple more minutes of just creating what I think this piece has. So what I'm doing now is I'm just covering it up, so when we move, when we take a look from outside, it looks like this is on top of this, right? And with stuff like this, like if you're doing some fantasy crap, by crap I mean stuff, you don't have to be too concerned about it. But when you're doing sci-fi, you still want it to look clean, right? Not like it's made by some bullshit ass blacksmith. It has to be manufactured, which means it will have to look good. So kind of try to keep it up, right? Can do it a little bit of here as well. So I removed my mask, and yeah, it's basically, for something this small, it's unnecessary, because basically what I'm doing is I'm just going and doing pieces like this all across this glove. And I can always move it down a little bit. And the idea is that when I do them, if we look at it like this, right? I do the folds horizontally and then I smooth it vertically. And what I do with this is I can kind of create the idea that this piece is a little bit puffy because it's above the art piece. Cool. Yeah, and then you can always go get your move and just very quickly fix the errors. Not they're not errors, but they're like, you don't want this to have this, right? So just nudge it in. It's very small, you won't probably recognize it at most places, but if it's a first person game, spend more time on it because your hands are constantly on the screen. If it's third person character, you can pick and choose your battles, and here I do what we did the same with the whole concept of the character, which is basically going and working on chunks. So I'm not finished with this piece, but I want to give a little bit here with this. And then I can actually, I can subdivide it again. Oh, sorry. There we go. It was masked. So before you go up in subdivision, if you're going to mask the border, like I told you, so it doesn't move, you have to unmask it, and then you can just go and mask it again. And you have to be careful because you don't want your big folds to be like this fold. You don't want it to be at this resolution because it's very wonky. If you want to go for a very big fold, just go back to your first resolution, do it then, and then go up. That way you save yourself a lot of trouble. So the higher resolution, the finer the work you do on it, right? Cool. At this point you can start introducing your dam standard. Start doing like the smallest folds if they're necessary. Like for example, if this was really realistic, you would want to go here and just enunciate the peaks and the valleys. And you can even smooth it again, but because you've pushed it and then you're averaging it, it still retains this pressure that you've created, the feeling of pressure. Okay. So now you can, let's see. Let's bring back its color. Wait, what? This piece. Let's bring back its color. I don't know. And if we go here, we can probably make those the same color. And we can make this the same color. Yeah, that now looks a lot more like what we want. This is still very rubbery, so we can play a little bit here, like this. There is something I have to figure out about here, what we'll do here. I'm not still sure. Like if it's going to be empty, I gotta make some kind of folds here, right? But if it's not going to be empty, I gotta figure out what I want to do, and I haven't figured out, but I will figure until the next video. The idea with this character is that I don't have a concept. I rarely do. And when you don't have a concept, you just see what rings your boat this day and that day, and when you work, and you just go along with it. Okay, let's bring her up, or all of it. Ooh, let's bring her body. Now, yeah, it starts to look like Gerter. So now I don't mirror and weld everything on the other side just yet, because I haven't done it, and I much prefer to wait until I've done it to start doing to do this. But we are getting pretty close. I think in the next video we are going to finish her glove. We're going to start with her boot. So, with an S, plural. No, we don't want this. So we don't want upper, lower, and eyes. Okay, I have this. Right, I think we're doing progress. Alright guys, this will be the pin in the episode. Thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe to the video, to the channel, what am I saying? And like the video if you like this kind of stuff and if you want to see more of it. Also check the playlist. I made all this into a playlist now where you can go through all 3 episodes and basically catch up. And in the next episode we're going to finish with this one, and we're going to take a look at her gloves, at her boots, what am I saying? Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.